Alright, welcome back everybody. My name is Dustin. In the last video, we went over how we're going to do our undo and redo commands for our editor. And I chose to use the std variant to handle all the performed actions. And I left you guys with a little challenge to see if you could fill out the undo and redo commands for the create tile tool add command. And as an extra test, see if you could do it for the rect command as well. And then today we're going to go over how I accomplished that. Okay, so let's get into it. So let's go right to our undo function. Actually, before we even do that, we might as well create another command for the remove tiles. So it's basically going to be the same thing. However, this is called when we try to remove the tile with the right mouse button. So we can just copy all of this here. Copy this, paste it in. Everything's going to be the same. The only thing is we're going to add. Instead of add, we're going to remove. Cool. And let's create these two. Awesome. That should have done it for us. Check it out. Awesome. Let's actually make this bigger. All right. Okay, so let's start with the create tile tool add command and the undo function. So instead of doing this little log here, this was just a test from before. Let's actually go over what we need to do. First thing I'm going to want to do is actually check to see if our registry is null pointer. And if it's null pointer, we don't want to try to undo it. Let's just do an assert. Scion assert, and we want to say p registry. The registry cannot be just up here, it'll do. And we'll just check it here, because if we're in release, the assert will be ignored. We should be doing most of our testing and debug anyway. So here we'll just say if not p registry. We'll just log an error. Failed to undo create tile. Registry was not set correctly. And we can just return. So if our registry is good, we now need to make sure that our tile, because if we go back here, our tile is also a pointer. So we want to make sure that it is also valid. So we can actually just copy all of this, paste, change this to p tile, and it'll say the tile cannot be null pointer. Check this, p tile. The tile was not set correctly. Cool. So the undo of the add command is going to be to remove a tile. We could remove it directly from its ID. However, we're going to go around and grab all the tiles and do the same thing that we were doing when we were checking the tile to see if we could place. So first I want to do is go auto tiles is equal to p registry get registry view tile component and transform. So we got an error here, and that's because we need to go using namespace Scion core ACS. And this should be namespace, not namepaste. Cool. Let's go back down. We have our view. Awesome. So that gives us our view. And I'm going to want to grab a const auto reference of the current position. So we can just say tile pause. And that's just p tile transform dot position. Probably don't have to do this. It just, instead of putting this huge thing here, I can just go tile pause. Cool. Then I want to go std uint 32t. That's going to be the entity to remove. And that's just entt. No. All right. Then we can go for auto entity in tiles. I want to go entity tile, pass in the registry, p registry entity. Then I can say const auto reference transform is equal to get component transform component. I want to do the same thing to get the sprite. Sprite. Change this to sprite. And now we need to check the position. So we go if position.x is greater equal to a tile pause transform dot position dot x, and let's copy this down a couple times. Plus sprite dot width times transform dot scale dot x. And copy this. Change this to y. So all we're doing right now is checking to see if the tile that we're looking at is in the same position as this tile here. We got to make sure it's the correct one. This will be height. And then one last check. We need to check to see if p tile dot, sorry, we need to go and here. P tile sprite dot layer is equal to sprite dot layer. And if all that is true, we have the right tile. Then we can set our entity to remove to that particular entity. So entity to remove is equal to static cast std uint32t entity. And then we can break out because we have the correct tile. So even though we did this loop here, we're not guaranteed to have the correct tile. So I want to make sure that we're looking at the correct tile. So I'm going to go scion, assert, then say entity to remove is not equal to entt. No. Entity should not be null. Because if the entity is null here, that means we didn't find it. Okay? So we're trying to remove something that isn't actually there. So this is asserting that it's not equal to null. So we can actually do this check here. So grab this check. If I want to say entity ent registry static cast entt entity entity to remove, then go ent dot kill. Cool, and that's it. So what that should do is it should find our tile for us. You know, we probably don't even have to do this here with the casting because we're just going to do the entity anyway. So let's actually get rid of this and just change this to entity entity. And then we can get rid of this cast. And then we can get rid of this cast because it's not necessary. It's already an entity. Cool. Now that should work. But before we continue and check to see if that is working, let's quickly do the redo function. So the redo function is going to be the complete opposite. So now we need to add a new entity. Now, this is another reason why we can't just use the entity ID, because we need to create a new one because it's already been removed. So we need to actually add a new one, but we can use all of this again. So let's copy this and paste this in here. Cool. And if we've made it to here, we can go entity, tile, p registry. And we're not going to give this any name or group. Let me go tile.add component. It definitely has a transform component. Transform component. That's just p tile transform. It's definitely going to have a sprite component as well. All tiles are guaranteed to have a transform and a sprite. However, we're not guaranteed to have the other stuff. And it's also guaranteed to have a tile component. Add component. Tile component. Static. Cast. std. View int 32. T of the tile.get entity. Cool. And then we got to do all the checks for all the other stuff. The animation, collider, circle, physics. So let's do that now. So if we have an animation, we need to add the animation. And we can copy these. Paste. B animation. And that can just be B collider. This would be box collider. Box collider. Paste. B circle. And the last one, B physics. Awesome. So that should work for us. Okay. So let's quickly build this to see if there's any errors. Awesome, so the rebuild succeeded. Before we actually continue to test this, we can actually just automatically go and do these, okay? Because we already have the add command done, and the remove command will actually just be the complete opposite. So the undo will be the redo of the add command, and the redo will be the undo, right? If that makes sense. So we can actually just copy all of this here and put this in the undo. Then we can copy the undo and put it in the redo. So copy this. Okay. So the redo would be the undo. Okay. So now let's build. It should build. Okay, so we haven't set up the remove command yet, so we won't be able to test that. And we don't have any textures, so we actually have to load everything. So let's load a scene. And we have to bring a texture in, so I have to run this for now. I think it's set up. Yep, it's set up. Good, and that'll give us tile sets. So let's just use the hill tiles. Add this in. Tile details, add a layer. And we'll just make a bunch and hit Control Z. Oh, look at that. Control Shift Z, and they're redone. Exactly what I was trying to do. Perfect. Cool. So that works. The undo, redo works for the add command. So now we need to add in the remove. Okay, so let's close this. And we can go into our create tile tool. And basically the same thing we're doing here, we can just copy this and go to where we're removing a tile. So we got a remove tile. Looks like we didn't put any of the component information here, so we need to do all that. But we can paste this down here for now, just so we have it. Let's clean it up a bit. This is going to be the remove command. Remove. Copy this. It's showing an error right now because it's not in the undoable commands. We're going to have to go add that in. Mouse tile. This needs to change. It's going to have to be the remove tile. So we're going to have to add this all in now. So up here, let's create a new tile. And we'll call this the removed tile. That'll just be an empty tile. We can get rid of this comment. And we can do all the transformation stuff. So I can go moved, removed, tile.transform is equal to tile2 remove dot get component transform component. And we do the same for sprite. Just sprite. And now we need to do some checks here. So we need to go tile2 remove dot has component. And we want to check to see if it has a box collider component. If it has a box collider component, we need to add that in. Dot box b collider is equal to true. And then removed tile dot box collider is equal to tile2 remove dot get component box collider. And we're going to want to do the same thing for the other ones. So we copy all of this, paste. This could be circle collider. Bring this down. This could be just be circle. Circle collider, get circle. Paste this down. Check to see if it has the animation component. Animation component. Be animation. 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 And one more for the physics. Awesome. So that's our remove tile here that we know. We need to place this in here. So we get our scene, we get our registry. Now we need to add this remove command to our undoable commands. So we're basically just doing the same thing. We're creating a command or an action here, a command to remove, and we're calling our execute for our command manager. So now we need to go to our undo commands and add that in. Undo command, add that in, and then add this in here as well to our command manager. And if we run this, let's see if it works. So let's load a scene. Run it. So we have a texture. I want to make a couple. Doesn't matter what you pick. So just make a few right here. I'm going to right click and remove a few. So I removed all those. So Control Z should add them back in. Control Shift Z should remove. And then if I just keep going, it's going to undo all the other ones, all the creates. So it's going to start removing them all. And putting them back. Awesome. So that is working. Now we do have to create all these commands for every action eventually that we do. Now, I'm not going to go over every action. I expect you guys to eventually be able to do that yourselves, but it's the same idea. It's going to follow the same principle. If we go over this for every action, it'll just take forever. So say we have a new entity, right? And when we created the entity, well, we're going to want to undo that. So you're going to need to have an action for that. When you add a new component, you move it around and do different things, you're going to have different actions, okay? So we're going to want to be able to do that. we're going to do one more before this video ends, and that's going to be for the Rect tool. So for that, we're going to have to set it up, because right now we don't have a choice where we can select the Rect tool yet. We need to do that. We need to add that in. And I think that's what's going to be the next video, so you can select the type of tool that you want to use. And we should also start getting into gizmos. So I think I'm going to do that over the next couple videos, is add in tool selection and gizmos. So say we have our object, we're going to have our scale gizmo, rotate gizmo, and the translation gizmo. So we're going to start getting into that in the next video. All right, so let's quickly do the Rect tool. Okay, so what I want to do here is we have our two commands here. Let's add a new command, add new file, and it's going to be the Rect tool commands.h. Yep, added to our CMake, and we can go pragma once, namespace, Scion, editor. Cool. All right. So for this one, we're going to want to include a vector, and we're going to need to forward declare the registry. I believe we're doing that in this one. Basically, all this stuff is render shape system. We can get rid of that. Get rid of that. And where's our create tool commands? Right here. Yeah. So already doing this. So let's put that in there. Copy that. Paste that in there. And we can forward declare our tile. So struct tile. And we're going to have our struct rect tool add tiles command. And it's going to do the same thing. So we're going to have our Scion core ECS registry pointer P registry, and we'll default this to null pointer. And then we're going to have a vector of tiles. So std vector of tile, and that's tiles. Just an empty vector. Include vector. Now, I'm using vector. We could probably use the set here. We probably should use the set here just to make sure that we're not adding duplicate tiles in, but that's all right. We're just going to do this for now. If it poses a problem down the line, we'll change it to a set, but for now this should do. And we can go void, undo, redo. Oops, we need semicolon here. Awesome. And we might as well copy this and do the exact same thing for the remove. Rect tool remove tiles command, and we can make all of these. Okay, so I had to cancel that really quick and restart everything because for some reason Visual Studio doesn't like it if I don't have the file and everything already set up when I'm using CMake. It's a weird bug. You have to have the files beforehand, and that's fine. So we'll just add it in. Rect tool commands. Then we can say namespace Scion editor. So just put that there for now. And I need to open up my CMake file. Let's actually click on this and let's go close other tabs. Let's close everything here. And let's check our CMake real fast down here. So it added that in as expected. Copy this line down or duplicate CPP. So that's in. All right, so we can close that for now. And now that we have the other file, where is that? Right here. With this made, it should be able to make it without it crashing on me again. Try again. Cool, made fine. And let's do this one as well. Awesome. Okay, so let's go to that file. Rect tool commands.cpp, and let's start adding some stuff in here. We're going to need our registry, so include for ECS registry, include for ECS entity. Then we want to add the components, so include for ECS all components. We have to go to components for that. Cool. Might as well add in the logger include logger.h, include the editor utilities, editor utilities, editor utilities. Awesome. Might as well add in our using namespace for the components. Using namespace, Scion core, CS. Awesome. And we're going to need the same assert for the registry. So we might as well go copy that from this one here, the create tile tool command. So this could all be the same. So just copy this. Not the tile, we're not going to need that one. Copy this, and we can just paste it into all 4 of these. Because the registry must be valid for all 4. Cool. All right. So now, up to the add command. So basically when we're adding in a bunch of tiles. So what I need to do is go through all the tiles and undo them, okay? So we're going to want to basically do the same check that we were doing in the other one and make sure that it's the correct tile and then kill it, okay? So we need to get the tile view. So auto tile view is equal to p registry get registry view tile component transform component. We don't really have to do that transform component. I'm just putting it in there for good measure. So now we need to go loop through all the tiles here. So right here, we're passing in tiles. We need to loop through all these tiles and then compare them to the tiles in the view and make sure that it's the correct tile. If those tiles are the same, then we want to remove it. Okay. So for const auto reference tile in tiles, these are the tiles that we're sending in from the command. They're basically a copy. Then I want to get the position for each tile and the layer. So we go const auto reference tile pos is equal to tile.transform.position. Then we might as well just get the layer as well. So const auto layer is equal to tile.sprite.layer. Cool. So now that we have those things that we want to check, we need to actually loop through this view. Okay. So we can go for auto entity in tile view. And right here, I'm just going to create an entity and I'm going to call it checked tile. Then I'm going to send in the registry, p registry, and the entity. So we have our check tile or tile to check, and I'm going to want to get the transform and the sprite from that. Okay, so I can go const auto reference transform is equal to, or we can get checked position, yeah. Checked pos is equal to checked tile dot get component transform component and then dot position. Because that's, oh no, wait, we're going to need the scale. So might as well just get the transform component. Transform. And the sprite. Change this to sprite. And we basically have to do the same check that we did in this function here. So we might as well just go grab it. Grab this whole function, this whole check here. Bring it in and place it in. And we have to make some changes. This can just be layer. And instead of setting the entity to move, we actually just want to kill that entity. Okay. So right here, well, we can either kill it or we can just use the registry to destroy it. Okay. So p registry dot get registry dot destroy. And that's going to be this entity here. Okay. And then we can break. Cool. Actually, first let's check to see if it's null. So if entity is not equal to ENTT null, then destroy it. Cool. All right. And that's all we should have to do. Okay. So all we're doing here is we're looping through all the tiles that we passed in. So we have to add this into our Rect tool create tile command, right? And add, so we have a reference basic. It's not really a reference, but it's basically the same tile and its position and where we put it. And then we want to remove them all. So let's do the redo. So here we have our checks for the redo. All we want to do now is loop through all those tiles that we had and add them again. So we go for const auto reference tile in tiles, and it'll be entity, and then we say added tile p registry. So we add a tile. It's going to have the transform sprite and tile component. So we can actually go back here. All this stuff that we did here, we're just going to have to redo. So we can just grab all of this here, copy, go here, and paste. Cool. We can change all this to added tile. And these are no longer pointers. This will just be the tile dot. Take this. Awesome. Oh, one more. I didn't see that. That's the problem with copy and paste. You got to be careful. And that's it. That should add them all back for us. So we're redoing. Redoing will be adding all the tiles back that we just took away. Okay. So then now for the remove tile, it's the same idea as the other one. So we just want to copy this and put it into there. Copy this. Put it here. Wait, what did I copy? Did I copy just this? Yeah, we just want to copy this here. And put it underneath. And then we want to do the same for the redo as the undo of the first one. So we can just copy this. Go to the bottom. Paste it here. Cool. Now let's just build to make sure that we're still good. Awesome, rebuild succeeded. So what I need to do is actually set that we're using the Rect tool. We have to do this manually right now because we don't have a way to change it on the fly. We can close all these and go to our tools, tool manager, and here change this to Rect fill. Oh, cool. That'll set our active tool that we're using. Then we need to go to our Rect tool. Let's actually open up this and this just so I have the commands. So I need to copy this here, command manager. That needs to go into my Rect tool. Might as well put it here. And if we go back to create, we're also going to need to add in, actually the command manager should be fine. Let's go to our command manager here, and we're going to have to add in our new one. Rect tool commands. Add these in here. Rect. Let's go back here. Rect tool add tiles. I didn't see that. Let's go back in here. Rect tool add tiles command. Rect tool remove. Same with this. Control KD. There we go. Go to our Rect fill tool. And we might as well copy this here, because we're going to have to do the same idea. A little bit different, but the same idea. Go here. Go down here. Right on the outside. We can just go paste. So what do we need to do here? We need to change this. Go Rect, tool, add command. It's going to take the scene manager, the registry, and this here needs to be tiles. Tiles. Oh, this is Rect, tool, add tiles command. And we need to change this here. This needs to be a vector, and we're going to call the vector created tiles. It doesn't exist yet, but it will. So let's go actually up here. Right before our double for loop here, let's create a new std vector of tile. And we'll call it created tiles. Okay. Then right here, we're going to have to create a new tile and go through and add everything in. So we'll just say tile, and it will say created tile. So we have our created tile. And we just have to go through and set everything. So right here we can go created tile dot transform is equal to new transform. Right here, so it has a sprite. Then we say created tile dot sprite is equal to sprite. Here, so we know it has a collider. We can go created tile dot be collider is equal to true. And then we can go created tile dot box collider is equal to mp mouse tile box collider, and we can just copy this here and paste these all and just adjust accordingly. We don't need to worry about adding the tile component there because we do that when we're creating it. So we can just go created tiles dot pushback created tile. So we need to add in our scene up here because I must not have done that yet. So include editor, scene, scene manager, and scene object. Go back down. Awesome. So I think that's all I need to do for that. Go a bit smaller so you guys can see. Oh, this is has to be adjusted here. Control KD. All right. Looking good, looking good. That should work for us. Now we have to do the remove tiles, and we'll go down here. So same idea. We're gonna have to loop through all of these here and add that in. So right above, we can create another std vector of tile, and we'll call this removed tiles. Just be empty. Then right here, create a tile, call that removed tile. Now we're going to have to loop through and grab all of the data before we actually kill it. Okay, so we can actually copy all this data and just adjust it for our tile. Let's take this, copy that, come here and paste it in, and let's start making some changes. Let's change this to, instead of these can't both be removed tile. Removed tile. This changes to tile to remove. Cool. Transform and sprite. Get rid of this. And now we want to check to see. Now we can't use the mouse tile here. We need to check to see if this has it. Okay. So here. This box collider, so box collider component. So if it has the box collider component, we don't want to add here. We need to go this here. I'll to remove dot get component box collider component. Right? And this has to be removed tile. Cool. Now it'll probably be easier if we just grab this and do the same thing for all of these. Let's get rid of all of this actually. Paste this down and do circle collider. Animation component. And physics. And this is tile to remove. Tile to remove. All right. And one last thing, and we need to push back this remove tile into our removed tiles. So we can say removed tiles dot pushback tile or removed tile. Awesome. And then we just have to do our command manager. So we can just go up here, grab this, paste it here, and this would be the removed. That, change this, change this. Remove tiles. Control KD and Control Shift B. Let's build it and see what happens. All right, so we got a successful build. Let's hope that works, and I believe it will. So let's run it. So load a scene. Let's change our tile set here. We'll just do a bunch. Oh, we have to add a layer. And we'll make a whole bunch. So 1, 2. We'll remove a few. And let's hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Shift Z, Control Shift Z. Look at that. It works. Perfect. It's exactly what I wanted to do. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully it made sense. Our undo and redo command now works for our Rect tool and for our create tile tool. So that's it for that. It is doing what we wanted it to do. And in the next video, we're going to move away from the undo commands, and we're going to start getting into gizmos and start adding in different gizmos. So when we have a new game object, we can move it around just by using the gizmo itself. And then I also want to add in like a toolbar at the top where you can select what tool you're using. So we're going to start getting into that in the next couple videos instead of having to do it in the code, because right now we're only doing it in the code here. In our tool manager, we need a way to switch the active tool. So right now we're only doing it like this. This is going to change, and we're going to do that over the next couple videos. All right. So make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And that's it for this video. Take it easy.